Doamnelor și domnilor deputați și senatori,
Ladies and gentlemen, deputies and senators,
ce faci? Domnul
Să trăiți, șef.
Domnule președinte,
Mr. President of the Knesset, Mrs. President of the Senate, Mr. Prime Minister of the Government of Romania, Your Excellencies, honored guests, and dear colleagues. I invite you to listen the hymn of the State of Israel and the national hymn of Romania.
Vă rog să-mi permit
Please allow me to declare open the meeting, the joint meeting consecrated to the fulfillment of the 75th of the relationship between Romania and the State of Israel. This relation is important for Romania, both from a history perspective and for development of technological projects. The Romanian and Israeli solidarity is strong, and your presence here in Bucharest is proof of high importance that you also give to this relation in your country. I am particularly honored, and I invite and I welcome Mr. Amir Ohana, President of the Knesset.
Domnule președinte Ohana,
Mr. President Ohana, you have the floor.
Mulțumesc. Thank you very much, Mr. President. Esteemed, Honorable Marcel Ciulaco, President of the Chamber of Deputies, esteemed Mrs. Alina Gorgiu, Vice President, acting as President of the Senate, esteemed Mr. Nicolae Ciucă, Prime Minister of Romania, esteemed Deputy Silviu Wexler, Chairman of the Parliamentary Friendship Group with the State of Israel and President of the Federation of Jewish Communities in Romania, Ministers, Deputies, distinguished Senators, Ambassador of both countries, members of the Jewish community, and dear friends. It is not often that a parliament of one country holds a special bicameral event marking the Independence Day of another. This joint session is therefore an expression of the true friendship and very special bond between Romania and Israel. It also represents a few firsts. The first time in history that a Speaker of Knesset addresses a joint session of the Parliament of Romania, my first time addressing any foreign parliament, and my first time visiting Romania. So surely you can understand, my friends, why I am so moved and honored to stand here before you today as Speaker of the Knesset, the Israeli Parliament, to mark this momentous occasion, the 75th anniversary of the State of Israel's independence, in the heart of Romanian democracy, and address you on behalf of the Israeli people. As we reflect on this significant milestone, I remember the sacrifices, struggles, horrors, and triumphs that have shaped our nation over the past 7.5 decades, as well as those that span the 2 millennia preceding the establishment of our state. Ever since my people was exiled from its land, we never stopped dreaming. We lived amongst the nations on the earth in good times and in bad times, but never forgotten Jerusalem, never forgotten home. Can you imagine Jews from Morocco to Poland, from America to Romania, sharing the same dream, the same prayer, the same hope next year in Jerusalem? next year in Jerusalem, year after year, decade after decade, century after century, millennium after millennium, next year in Jerusalem. Well, thank God, we are back in Jerusalem, but never to live again. Romania and Israel have enjoyed uninterrupted diplomatic relations since Israel's founding in 1948. Today, we also celebrate those 75 years of relations. Romania was one of the first countries to recognize the State of Israel and established diplomatic ties soon after. Even during the communist era, when Romania sided with the Arab states at war with Israel, our two countries always maintained their diplomatic ties. Romania was the only country in the communist bloc that never discontinued its relations with Israel. As a result, our relationship was able to grow stronger in a variety of fields: technology, health, security and defense, culture, economy, tourism, and diplomacy. My presence here serving as a tangible example of our robust diplomatic ties. Our two countries are committed to combating anti-Semitism and promoting tolerance to all its populations. Israel is the one and only country in the Middle East in which Christian communities only grow and flourish, and so it shall continue. Israel is home to millions of Jews from all over the world, hundreds of thousands of them from Romania. So Romanian culture, language, music, cuisine, and even the great sense of humor are no stranger to us. It is a part of who we are. Israel is a vibrant state combining ancient and modern, old and new, a trailblazer when it comes to science and technologies, startups and innovations. The establishment of the State of Israel has been a source of pride and inspiration for Jews all over the world. Romanian Jews have played key roles in Israeli society and throughout Israel's history. They have made major contributions to industry and economic life in Israel, to culture, and to Israeli politics. 20 members of the Knesset were born in Romania, and many more were born to parents of Romanian descent. These individuals bring with them a unique perspective and a deep understanding of the challenges that face both Israel and Romania. As we celebrate Israel's independence, we must also remember the times that preceded it. Even in the darkest moments of the riots, pogroms, and persecution, very few anticipated the ultimate evil the Jewish people would face during the Holocaust. Among the 6 million of our small people that were murdered in the Holocaust, more than a third, around 400,000 of them were Romanian Jews. Innocent women, children, and men perished merely for the circumstances of their birth, being born Jewish. Each and every one of them was a human being. They had names, dreams, hopes, loves. Let us take a minute to think of them, remember them, so that we never forget. It is one of the fundamental goals of my country to ensure, and it is our oath to those who perished, that these atrocities will never be repeated. In just 2 words, never again. But even in the midst of the Holocaust, there were those who stood up against evil and who risked their lives to save others. We shall never forget the Romanian righteous among the nations who showed heroism kindness, and humanity, and shone their light during the darkest of times. Romania has taken important steps to commemorate the Holocaust and promote Holocaust education, including the establishment of a Museum of Holocaust here in Bucharest, which I would love to visit when it will be opened. These efforts demonstrate Romania's commitment to combating anti-Semitism and promoting tolerance and inclusivity. And it is highly appreciated by the Jewish state, my state. Thank you, Romania. As we speak, efforts to destroy my country and to kill as many of our citizens as possible continue. In just a few days, more than 100 rockets were fired towards Israeli population centers, forcing us to launch Operation Shield and Arrow in Gaza with the aim of restoring peace and quiet to all. One of the primary purposes of any state is to protect the lives of its citizens, and Israel is no different. I had the privilege serving 12 years of my life in the Israeli Defense Forces and the Shin Bet, the Israeli security agency, during the toughest of times, and I can assure you, Israel will continue to defend its people and respond firmly against such attacks over their lives wherever and whenever necessary. This time, it was the Palestinian Islamic Jihad, a terror organization funded and supported by Iran, that was firing at us. Iranian Ayatollah regime openly calls to destroy Israel. They are doing everything they can to obtain nuclear weapons, which will enable them to do so. In light of extreme human rights violations in Iran, this poses a threat not only to my country, but to the free world, which Romania and Israel are a part of. We cannot ignore that threat. My friends, let us all come together and make it very clear that when we say never again, we mean never again. As we celebrate Israel's 75th anniversary of independence, in this joint session, let us also celebrate the deep and meaningful relationship that exists between our two nations. May this bond continue to grow and flourish in the years ahead, and may we continue to work together to build a brighter future for all people everywhere. I can be fair to say that the ties between Romania and Israel are better than ever before, and we will work together to strengthen them even further. Friends, stand together. Romania and Israel will always stand together. Thank you for this wonderful opportunity to address you here today and for your gracious hospitality and demonstration of friendship. Mulțumesc. Thank you very much. God bless Romania and God bless Israel. Thank you.
Da.
Aș dori să invit pe doamna Alina Ștefania Gheorghiu, președintele Senatului. Vă rog.
Stimate domnule președinte al Knesetului Statului Israel, stimate domnule președinte al Camerei Deputaților, stimate domnule prim-ministru, membri ai Guvernului, doamnelor și domnilor senatori și deputați, excelențele dumneavoastră, România este un adevărat prieten al Israelului, asta a spus fostul președinte al statului Israel, Reuven Rivlin, de la această tribună acum 2 ani de zile. Această realitate, așa cum știți, nu s-a schimbat nici astăzi, pentru că de 75 de ani de la stabilirea relațiilor diplomatice neîntrerupte, poporul român și poporul israelian sunt și prieteni, dar și parteneri. În parcursul ei democratic, România a construit o politică de asumare a trecutului. Anul acesta aniversăm 20 de ani de la înființarea Comisiei Internaționale pentru Studierea Holocaustului. Comisia condusă de laureatul Premiului Nobel, supraviețuitor al Holocaustului, născut în Sighet, Elie Wiesel. Iar astăzi suntem un model regional în ce privește combaterea antisemitismului și negarea Holocaustului. Suntem
We are the country who does not forget. The history of Holocaust will be a mandatory school subject in the Romanian schools. We will have a national history of museum of Jews and Holocaust in Romania. We have adopted a national strategy in this respect. The Prime Minister has designated a special representative to fight anti-Semitism and xenophobia. And at the beginning of this parliamentary session, the Senate adopted a very important statement for the memory of the victims of Holocaust, for the survivors, and for the entire Jewish community in Romania. Romania took action, and will continue to fight antisemitism and denial. Ladies and gentlemen, the memory of the Holocaust is a permanent warning. It shows us what happens when the intervention is not on time, when irrational hatred to the other becomes a law, and when the human rights are violated. And as we remind of the horrors of Holocaust in Romania, I really want to remind the extraordinary rescuers of the saviors born in Romania. Traian Popovici, the mayor of this Cernăuți town, who saved 17,000 Jews from deportation to Transnistria. Konstantin Karadzsa, a Romanian diplomat who saved thousands of Romanian Jews from the Europe occupied by the Nazis, both just among people at the Yad Vashem Memorial in Israel. There are still voices who support the agenda of hatred, who refuse to learn from history. But I affirm publicly that their actions are irresponsible, and I have faith, Mr. President, that such trends or voices remain isolated and a ghost of the past. But today we need to speak also about the future and what we propose to do from now on, because, ladies and gentlemen, there are many Jewish monuments in Romania, well-preserved synagogues, which are gorgeous, in Timișoara, Oradea, Arad, and people need to see them. That is why I propose, Mr. President, that the Senate, in partnership with the Knesset, to establish the yearly distinction entitled the City of the Year in Preserving the Jewish Memory. It takes even tighter collaboration between the Romanian Parliament and the Knesset on the topics which are paramount to us all. And I mean food security, transition to green energy, high technologies, and cybersecurity, to develop the resilience, which is a topic in which the State of Israel can teach us a lot. I would like to see, in addition to all these issues, cooperation, a tighter cooperation on equal opportunities. And I propose to organize in the future a meeting of the parliamentary women from the Knesset and the Romanian Parliament. And in the end, I would like to say the national project of Romania, one of them is the integration into OECD. As a proof, in the parliament, a special committee was established, and it is headed by the current Prime Minister of Romania, Nicolae Ciucă. I know that Israel has a vast experience in OECD because you have been a member since 2010.
La nivel parlamentar, colaborarea și pe acest capitol.
Also on this chapter, the potential of relations in parliamentary relations is extraordinary, and I would like to expand it, Mr. Ohana. I am glad that you are here today in Bucharest. It gives us the opportunity to thank both communities because the interhuman relation is the most solid bond of bilateral relations. The Jewish community of Romanian origin has a paramount contribution to the development of the Israeli state. You know, the Romanian Jews were one of the cornerstones of the new state, and they became a respected and appreciated community. Together, alongside them, we will work together for the future of our relation. Thank you.
Vă rog să-mi permiteți să-l invit la microfon pe președintele.
Allow me to invite Mr. Marcel Ciolacu, President of the Chamber of Deputies. Mr. President of the Knesset, Mrs. President of the Senate, Mr. Prime Minister of the Romanian government, Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, dear colleagues. The long-term collaboration between Romania and the State of Israel, which is the closest ally of our country in the expanded Middle East and our reliable partner at global level, has constant success. The 75 years of uninterrupted diplomatic relations between our countries are a witness to this. And the fact that Mr. Amir Ohana chose Romania for his first official visit as the President of the Knesset honors us and consolidates the special nature of the relation between our countries. Our countries share joint economic and geostrategic interests, but the special relation between Romania and Israel passes beyond the state reasons, as it is a relationship based on tradition and on a deep sentiment of friendship and mutual respect. To the same extent, this is the result of the tight relation that the two communities knew to create and maintain, namely the Israeli citizens originary from Romania and the Jewish community from our country. The culture and history of the Jewish community is an important reference and is integral to our national history and culture. At the same time, the history of my country keeps the memory of the fact that the Jews, together with the other inhabitants of this land, contributed without hesitation to gaining the major wars following which our country acquired its independence and sovereignty. We remind these heroes and we focus on the cultural diversity and the deep manner in which it is a part of the identity of the Romanian state. Knowing the tradition and history of the Jewish community is both a modality to honor the past and a form to build a better future of tolerance, cultural diversity, and societies based on mutual respect. I remark with satisfaction that Romania is a regional model in assuming the Holocaust and combating the denial and denaturation of it. At political level, there is a constant preoccupation to bringing into attention of the historic truth. This comes with a stake, particularly in the context of educating the young generation who must hold the instruments to recognize and incriminate the actions of anti-Semitism and abuse of human rights. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like us to develop even more the cooperation between our countries, also at economic level. This is a topic on which we'll reflect together, Romanians and Israelis, both in the context of institutional dialogue but I'm also hopeful in the context of the dialogue between the representatives of the entrepreneurial environment. At international level, we appreciated the spontaneous support of your country in a file sensitive to the interests and status of Romania in the European community, namely the Schengen file. Currently, Romania is in a process of integration into the Organization for Cooperation and Economic Development, which is a priority of our foreign policy. We rely on the exchange and good practices acquired by Israel in the integration stage for the success of this application. I would also like to add that in our perspective as a member of the European Union, we reflected the need to organize the Council of Association of the European Union with Israel without prerequisites, hoping to intensify the political dialogue between the European Union and Israel, given that this relationship is beneficial to both parties. To conclude, I express my conviction that the good relations of collaboration and friendship between Romania and Israel will develop even more in the coming years in support of stability, peace, prosperity, and development of tolerant and inclusive societies. Thank you for your attention.
Îl invit la tribună.
I will now invite Mr. Nicolae Ciucă, Prime Minister of Romania.
Stimate domnule președinte,
Mr. President of the Knesset of the Israeli State, Mr. President of the Chamber of Deputies, Mrs. President of the Senate of Romania, honored members of the Parliament, members of the Cabinet, Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, the ambassadors, dear members of the Jewish community, ladies and gentlemen, I am glad to attend to the solemn meeting of the joint chambers of the Parliament for celebrating 75 years of uninterrupted diplomatic relationships between Romania and the State of Israel. We are connected not by a long-term diplomatic cooperation, but also a special relation with strategic items based on the deep relations between our people and on sharing the same values. These things that bring us closer must be also the basis in the future to consolidate our bilateral relation and at the same time the joint answer to the challenges in the current international context. In this context marked by revisionist actions, but also the ascension of the extremist discourse in the European societies, both challenges are threats to the free world of which both Romania and the State of Israel are a part. Both challenges support each other and threat the security of our countries and the basis for international relations and unity of democratic societies. Faced with this offensive hatred and we need to stick united to remain strong. Romania is determined to be a part of the joint answer of democratic states facing to the war started by Russia in the Ukraine. We are also deeply engaged to fight any form of extremism and discourse instigating to hatred, both in our country and anywhere in the world. We know that the distance from extremism to anti-Semitism or any other form of extremism can be a very short one. That is why Romania has supported all European projects dedicated to combating anti-Semitism, and recently during May 2 and 4, it hosted the 4th meeting of the working group of the European Committee for implementing the strategy of the European Union fighting anti-Semitism and promoting Jewish living, where I had the honor to attend. These actions of the Romanian state will continue, and the Romanian Liberal Party and the Romanian government will support the education of the Romanian society in the spirit of tolerance and respect to other ethnicities, which show the power of a society, not a weakness. Ladies and gentlemen, Israel is one of the strongest and most important partners of Romania in the Middle East, but also the state with whom we share an economic relation even stronger. However, I believe that the potential economic relations can be improved. That is why the economic relation between our states will need to be consolidated in the future. And at the bilateral meeting that we had last night, I focused on this aspect of consolidating the economic relations between our countries. Romania has shown that it is attractive to foreign investors, and last year it had a record of direct foreign investments. This was due to political stability, attractive tax framework, and that our country was a factor of balance in this region. So I invite with you, Mr. President Amir Ohana, I invite all the businessmen from Israel to invest in Romania. I assure you that they will be welcome. I would also focus on our good cooperation at the level of international organizations, in particular the opening of Israel to the process of expansion of the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, and in particular to support the candidature of Romania. The integration of our country to OECD is a priority of Romania's foreign policy, and in this regard, we still rely on your support. Mr. President of the Knesset of the State of Israel, honored Romanian Parliament, today's meeting is a good opportunity to mark both the past of our relations, but also to approach new dimensions of our future cooperation. We would like that the solid partnership with strategic sides with the Israeli state to become even tighter, and our political, economic, social and cultural relations to improve. The message that I want to transmit on behalf of the government of Romania is of opening to mutually beneficial cooperation that to be consolidated in the coming years. I invite you to be a part of this process beneficial to both Romania and the State of Israel. Thank you.
Vă mulțumim. Invit la tribună pe domnul Silviu Vexler.
I will now invite Mr. Silviu Vexler, a deputy and president of the Jewish community in Romania. Mr. President of the Chamber of Deputies, Mr. President of the Knesset, Prime Minister, Vice President of the Senate, ministries, dear colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. As a rule, over the years, I was proud that I have never been emotional. However, my hand is a bit shaky because I have a unique feeling that I have never felt until today. I spoke last night with with a member of the delegation of Mr. Ohana. I realized something. My grandparents, from both parents, were persecuted during Holocaust. They were deported. They were sent to forced labor 3 times. First by the legionaries, then during the dictatorship of Ioan Antonescu, and in the end, after the occupation of the Russian occupation in my region, in the region where I come from. I don't know if they ever imagined that a day would come when their grandson, a young Jew, would become a deputy in the Parliament of Romania. He would stand in the joint meeting of the parliament wearing his kippah with the leaders of the Romanian state and the president of the Knesset of Israel, and in particular to have the floor in a solemn session of both meet of the parliament and representatives of the Israel. You cannot realize how it would have sounded in their mind if they heard this a few years ago, so not another millennium. I would like to believe that I see this moment, and with my colleagues from the management of the Jewish Federation and the representatives of Jewish community living and the members of the Jewish communities attending today as guests, I would like to thank the President Ciolacu, leader of all parliamentary groups in both chambers, that you agreed and made it possible for this extraordinary moment to happen. There is no other people who endured over the history such pain and suffering as the Jewish people in the world. There was a time when the word Israel was only a whisper, an idea that would disappear the second that you would only dare to utter it. There is no other country in the world that could surprise and amaze at every step of the way like the state of Israel does today. After 75 years from the moment when it became independent, the modern Israel is a nation that was reborn due to wisdom and creativity, an exemplary state and a moral compass in what sometimes seems to be darkness surrounding us from every direction. Most of the times when someone speaks about Israel, he uses the expression of the holy country, which in Romania has become a synonym of the state of Israel. It is true and fair at the same time. The main point of monotheist religions, they meet here, meet and live in peace. Judaism, Christianism, and nobody says that it is simple or easy. I am not saying that everybody wants that, but respect that the authorities of the State of Israel show to each religion, the efforts, sometimes painful, that they do to keep the balance are indeed surprising and exceptional. But this should be the normality, not an exception. And perhaps it would not be bad that from this experience some people should learn, namely those who want to remove neutrality, balance and religious stability that we enjoy in Romania, only to attempt to take over control over a fundamental institution of the Romanian state in this field, namely the State Secretariat for the Cults. Romania and the Romanian people are indeed integral to the DNA of the State of Israel. It is true that today we celebrate the diplomatic relations, but in reality, between Romania and the State of Israel, there is a completely different bond, a true friendship, tested and validated again and again, not only at anniversaries, not only when all is good and pretty, but also in hard times. But along the years, the collaboration between our countries transformed the two societies and improved the lives of all citizens. This process continues, and I assure you, every moment. Romania has now a flourishing Jewish life, which is development every day. The Romanian Jewish communities preserve and in particular support Judaism, and at the same time they present our life to the public, to all the people who want to meet us and cross our threshold. We are really lucky that we can live in complete security, a real Jewish life in Romania. As a president of the Federation of the Jewish Communities in Romania, I am proud that the Jews in our country had a fundamental role in the building of two states, Romania and Israel. After the Holocaust, this darkness of history, each Jewish community, each Jew, wherever he were in the world, learned something during these 75 years that we are celebrating today of independence of the modern Israeli state. It is interesting that I can say that the State of Israel taught the Jews all over the world. But what did we learn from the sacrifice of each human being who lost his life to defend the State of Israel, or who was murdered in a terrorist attack? From the example of each Jewish soldier who sacrificed himself to defend modern Romania, from all the victims of Holocaust, we learned that we will never give up to violence and extremism. We will not be intimidated, we will not be threatened by anyone, and we will not live again in fear. Honored President of the Knesset, dear Amir, you are the first President of the Knesset who addresses the Romanian Parliament, and I am glad that it is so. Forgive me if I say that I learned a lot from your political track record, progress. Particularly when I met you for the first time many years ago, I remember that we spoke one night if it were possible to describe the Israeli state in one single word. And then you told me that one single word is not enough, that there should also be a feeling to give it power, to empower it. And we both chose hope, and the feeling was the utter conviction. And you were right. When I think about the hope that is definitory to the State of Israel, I can think in a curious way every time of a movie that I recommend to everybody. The main character in this movie, which is important to the Romanian state, the Israeli state, is Sergiu Constanța, a Romanian Jew. And when I saw all that happened during the last days in Israel and the attacks against the civil population, when I see that an international first-rank institution permitted the organization of an event dedicated to the destruction of the State of Israel, the line of Sergiu Constanța, his most famous line, is still valid. Happy birthday to the State of Israel and to Romania and to all the citizens of the State of Israel and the Romanian people, to all those who contributed and made it possible the existence of 75 relations of diplomatic uninterrupted relations between our countries. It was not easy. I know that the State of Israel will beat terror every time and those who attempt to destroy it, because Israel means hope, both to the Jews and to each human being. The hope that normality is possible, but particularly that dreams can come true. Thank you.
Doamnelor și domnilor, a fost o onoare pentru noi să audiem mesajul excelenței sale, domnul Amir Ohan.
It was an honor for us to hear these messages. Mr. President Ohana, thank you for the warm words, and I assure you of our opening to develop the tight parliamentary collaboration and partnership between the Romanians and the Israeli. I declare the meeting closed. Thank you.